Cool. So I can see a bunch of people coming in now, and we're at the time. So I'll get things kicked off, and then for everyone else joining a bit later, we can catch up there. So everyone, my name's Connor. You've probably seen me before if you've joined any of these webinars or checked out any of our videos over on YouTube. This is our monthly webinar, and this time we're going to be focusing on earnings. Given the earnings season has already begun, and the bulk of it is just around the corner. A lot happening this week and then over the next few weeks. To my left or right, depending on how it's situated on your screen, I have Rob. CEO and founder of Koyfin. He'll be in the background answering any questions that you have. So the Q&A button there on the bottom of your screen, if you have any questions during the call, Rob will be on hand to answer those. And if there's any interesting ones that might be good to discuss after the presentation, I'll take those as well. And we'll also have a little bit of time at the end of this for live Q&A as well. So without further ado, I'm going to jump in and we'll cover all the things I want to touch on today. So just a bit of context. This is basically, in my mind, a lot of people ask me, how do you make the best out of Koyfin during earnings season? Where are all the components that I can use to find certain things? So this is my interpretation of the places that you can do that, whether it's looking for earnings revisions or just finding who's reporting or setting up watch lists, that kind of stuff. So high level. If at the end you want me to go deeper into anything, we certainly can, but this is kind of how I'd approach it. So here we go. There we go. So I hope everyone can see my screen there. The first thing I want to mention, it's kind of off topic, but we just shipped it yesterday and it's pretty cool. So for anyone that's familiar with the model portfolio feature, a big update that we released today is sharing. So if you've seen the watch list sharing, we have a few videos on that on YouTube as well that go deeper than I'll cover today. But the TLDR is model portfolios are now shareable in the same way that you would share a watch list. In a portfolio, you can now go up here and we have a shared button. You can click that and you can share it with a friend or a colleague or your next door neighbor. If you have the Koyfin email, you just plug it in there and then you can give them viewership or editor access. And similar to watch list, this means that they can either view the portfolio, they can duplicate a version for themselves, or they can edit it if you want to collaborate on a portfolio as well. So it's pretty great. I won't go too much into it because it's a bit off topic today, but we did post a YouTube video about that today if anyone's looking to learn a bit more about that. So the first thing, we'll start with the basics. How do you find out who's reporting during earnings season? There's a couple of ways of doing that. And we're going to navigate between them both. The very simplest version, if you head over to the analytics page here on the left-hand side, we have a bunch of calendars here, economic and earnings. And the earnings calendar is the most intuitive way to find out who's reporting. I'll show you another method in just a second. The earnings calendar, pretty simple. Up here on the left-hand side, you'll see this is kind of your investment universe, and I'm probably going to use that term a lot today. But like we do on other places in Koyfin, we allow you to pick an index, an ETF, which will then suck out all the constituents of that ETF and base the calendar on that, or a watch list. So if you have a basket of portfolio companies or just a sector that you're looking at or the FTSE 100, whatever it is, you can pull in that watch list and get an aggregated earnings calendar for them. Up here on the right-hand side, you can change the range, whether you're looking backwards to a week or 90 days or forwards in the same time period. We'll go ahead and pick next 70 days just to demonstrate this for now. When I've picked my time period, you can see down here that we have the day, the date, a bunch of columns here with market cap and all that kind of stuff. And we're sorting by market cap right now, but we can see that today, which is Thursday, these are all the companies that are reporting, tomorrow, and so forth. Over here on the right-hand side, we have revenue, EBITDA, EPS, a bunch of numbers. You'll see that they are not populated right now. That is because the numbers have not updated or they've not reported yet. If I look backwards, let's say previous 90 days, and I scroll through all this data, you can see it's going to be populated, and we're showing you the beat or the surprise, both in notional and percentage terms. And you have some settings here as well that you can change. So I want more detailed estimate data. I can pull that up and you can see that we give you the full range. So you've got the standard deviation, highs, lows, number of estimates, and all that good stuff. And you can also hide various ones of these as well. So if you don't want to see anything apart from revenue, you can choose to do that as well. So I think most people, excuse me. So I think most people know what an earnings calendar is. We won't spend too much time on it, but there's some other stuff here that you can do as well. If you are looking at a big investment universe like the S&P, you can also group this by sector, and then you can also sort it by time. So you have that kind of double grouping there. Oh, date, sorry. So then you have the sector on top, and you have the most pressing earnings release that's coming up next as well. So it's kind of double sorted there. The other way that you can find who's reporting, if you already have your investment universe in mind, you've built a watch list. Like this one, for example, is just every single company in the S&P 500. If you're looking, it might be a portfolio company with maybe 20, 30 companies in it. It might not be as big as the S&P, but something very simple you can do. If you go over to the column picker here, and then you type in earnings date, you're going to have next earnings date here, and you have three choices: the date, the time, and the status, which is basically confirmed or estimated. You can see I've already got it in the table here, but you go ahead and select that, and then you have it up here. You can see that. I'll just expand it so everyone can see it. And again, similar to how we did in the calendar, you can sort by the next date, and then you can also do a bunch of groupings in here as well. If you wanted to replicate what we showed you in the calendar, you've got financials here and then sorted by next earnings date. And you see this little badge here indicates whether it's confirmed with a check mark or whether it's an estimated earnings date. And when we do have the data, it will come in and be confirmed. So you can sift through stuff like that. There's some other things that I'm going to show you in the watch list a little bit later on, but we'll come back to those because it relates to earnings revisions. But you can really set something up that maybe looks like this, because we obviously do pull in all of the forward estimate data and revisions. So this is just pretty much the same table, but I've added a custom label here. I actually use this in my own personal watch list. I only have about 20 stocks in there. And the YN, which is yes, no, it's just like a mental check for me to indicate, have you read the most recent earnings report or investor presentation, or whatever it might be. And I also use notes as well. This isn't my actual watch list, but you could type in a bunch of notes in here as well. And you could expand those or hover over it and it'll show you what's written. Alternatively, you can also use the notes feature here as well, which pulls up kind of a recurring log of notes that you've made about a security, and that travels throughout the platform. Over here on the right-hand side, you've got revenue, forward estimates, and then some fundamental data. You can also build something that looks like this. Again, I won't spend too much time on this one. We'll come back to it. But this is basically sucking in the same data for the same securities. But when it loads, this is going to be forward estimate data as well. So we can see this is what's projected for revenue for Apple. Here's some revisions data, how it's changed in the last 6 months. But we'll come back to this because we're going to be touching on revisions just a little bit later. So that's how to know who's reporting. When you know who's reporting and you want to dig in a little bit deeper, we obviously have over here on the left-hand side a bunch of tools down in the security analysis section. The most important, arguably, is kind of news flow, press releases, transcripts, that kind of thing. You'll find all of that here. So we're filtered on Apple right now. You'll be able to open news articles and read those directly in Koyfin, and they'll come through live during the day. Similarly, you have press releases as well, so coming from the company themselves. You have filings here for US companies, which you can, again, open. They'll just be sucked in directly from the SEC as and when they are posted. And you have transcripts here as well. So that's great if you're just looking at one company, but a lot of the time during earnings season, you want to leverage your time and search a bunch at once. So coming back to the watch list component there, if you had a watch list, an investment universe already set up, the watch list news tab button, whatever you want to call it, up here is great for that. So if we're on the S&P here right now, if I click this button, news, it's going to pull up a feed tailored to whatever securities I have in that watch list. The S&P one is quite excessive. You might have a smaller watch list, but you can filter this down. So if you don't want to see news at all, you just want transcripts or you just want filings, you can filter / unfilter any of these items here. You can get a bit more granular if you press these settings gears where you can get rid of ownership data or proxies or whatever floats your boat. But this stuff will just come in through the day and you'll be able to read it directly inside of Koyfin as well. So alternatively, if I just wanted press releases and transcripts and I didn't really want anything else, we could set up a feed like that too. So that's great. On the mobile side of things, something we're actually working on, which hopefully we'll bring to the web platform in time as well. We released notifications, push notifications for press releases as well. So if you do have the mobile version of Koyfin and you also have the web version, they'll kind of sync up together. And if you have a watch list on your Koyfin mobile app, press releases will actually, if you allow your mobile to show notifications, they'll come through your app during the day. That's just the first kind of notification that we released, I want to say a few weeks ago or a month ago, but we plan to incorporate transcripts, news, filings, and price alerts in there as well, all on the mobile. And then hopefully at some point we'll bring that to web too. Transcripts, in my opinion, is probably one of the more important ones because you really do want to hear what management's saying. It might be sugar coated, but you still need to hear it at the end of the day and get the analyst questions. So again, about the leveraging time thing, if you're in transcripts here and I'm looking at Apple, I can quite handily just read Apple's earnings call. They usually get sucked in pretty quickly after the call terminates. If I want to jump in and highlight a specific term, I have this button up here. If I type in China or whatever is relevant to the company you're looking at, and I just want to quickly pull up all the parts of the call that are about China, I can do that and cycle through them. But if you want to search for a group of companies at once, it's in the heart of earnings season. 10 of your companies have reported, and you just want to see what they've been saying, but you don't want to do it one by one. That is where advanced search, transcript search comes in handy. A really underappreciated, not underappreciated, I'm forgetting the word, underutilized maybe, or just
Underrated.
Yeah, the word underrated. There we go. Yeah, I'm just like, crapping on it, but it's actually underrated is the word I'm looking for. Featuring Koyfin is super powerful. It allows you to search the entire transcript library inside of Koyfin, particularly during earnings season. This is really great. So you can see here that I've got it unfiltered to anything. We'll clear that. So it's just going to look through the whole library. But if I want to just type in a search term here, like ChatGPT, and then hit search, it's going to pull up a bunch of transcripts, similarly to what we showed you with Apple, but now you have a feed of separate companies as well. So you can see which companies are talking about ChatGPT, but that's old news, so we might not want to search for that. If you want to get a bit more specific, this left-hand side here allows you to filter down different event types. So whether it's M&A calls, guidance, earnings, analyst days, whatever it might be, you can filter on those. If you want to hone in on a particular sector, you can do that as well. So if all the banking companies are reporting, they usually start first and they're all done. You can click financials here and then type in specific terms, or you can open up this advanced terms here and do exact words or phrases or exclude following words as well. What I typically like doing is utilizing watch lists in this scenario. So I'll go ahead and clear that. The companies filter, you can manually add companies one by one to kind of hone down your universe. But if you do have a watch list already set up, come over to security lists here. And similar to what we have all over Koyfin, you can plug in an index, so maybe the S&P, an ETF. No ETF is coming to mind, maybe this luxury ETF, or you can also use a watch list. So if you set up a watch list of your portfolio companies and you just want to kind of hone in on that, that would be great. See, this one here is luxury stocks. I'll go ahead and click that. Now it just kind of refines the universe to luxury companies. I want to change the date range here to be a bit more near term, so I'll change it to 6 months. And the only thing I want to look for here are the words China and Chinese. So I don't know why I capitalized the H, but China and Chinese, it'll probably allude to the Chinese consumer, the Chinese economy, and references of China throughout these companies. So now it's a pretty small list. I don't think many of these have reported recently. I know Burberry reported last week, but they didn't have a call. And most of the big ones are reporting in the next couple of weeks. But when they do, that will come through the pipe. But just like we had earlier, you can click on these, look at all the instances where China has been said, and have a whale of a time. You could search for other things like weak consumer versus strong consumer. But yeah, advanced transcript search, super useful during earnings season. Some other things I want to highlight here. One of the snapshots in particular, which is the earnings history snapshot, just here on the left-hand side at the very bottom. Really good for earnings season if you just want a quick cursory glance. at how the company has historically performed during earnings season. So to give you a kind of flow by flow of what's happening here, this chart is basically showing you the history of Apple's sales versus what was expected, and if it was a beat or a miss. So you can see when you hover over any of these little dots here, which represent a quarter, the data is going to change. So we can see back here in 2018, this was the estimate for revenue. This was what they reported. This is a surprise. This was the high and low estimate. And you can toggle this between sales, EPS, EBIT, all that kind of stuff. And down here, you have the actual versus estimate as a bar chart. So you can see Apple quite consistently beat estimates. And then down here, we have the itemized version of that as well. So I'm going to click this button here, which is full view, just to pull it up. But it's basically just an itemized version of what we're showing you there on a chart. If that's more legible to you, that's great. You can also download this data as well, which is particularly interesting. If you want to take like a 20-year history of Apple, for example, you can calculate the average surprise, the number of times they surprise versus miss. You can tweak the price reaction date as well. So if you want to see, 1 week post earnings, the average reaction, you can do that as well. And all this data will change for you. So a useful little snapshot there. And of course, down here, we have the analyst estimates as well, which is super useful during earnings season for a bunch of different reasons. Actuals and consensus, if let's just say Apple are reporting tomorrow and you want to get back up to speed on what is expected and what they've done in the past few quarters, this is going to give you every piece of information that you need to know. So we're filtered on quarterly here. I like viewing my consensus left to right. Some people show it right to left, so I have to scroll over here. We can see that up in the upcoming quarter, which is Apple's first quarter, but if we change the period type to calendar, it's actually Q4 in the calendar year. You can see that in their busiest period of the year, they're expected to do about 1% growth, which is not amazing in my opinion, but yeah, $118 billion is expected in sales. Every data point you can think of is down here. We have the kind of high level income statement items. We have balance sheet, cash flow, multiples, per share data, margins. Everything is in here, and you can view it on an annual basis as well. If you want to get a bit more granular as well, come over to the settings and play around with these, because you have this button here, which is additional estimate data, which will give you a bit more insight into the ranges and then the number of covering analysts as well. So I'll go ahead and hide that. And we also have some other stuff down here, price target data, which is useful. We give you the ratings and the change over time and the number of covering analysts there. This estimates overview is just kind of like sales to EBIT through EPS. And we give you a breakdown on a quarterly and annual basis as well, slightly different way of viewing it, and you can toggle between those. Here we have the historical rolling forward estimate versus stock price. So you can see the relationship between those two metrics and see how correlated they are. And then one of my personal favorites is estimates trends. So again, if you're maybe looking at a company and you want to see how estimates have changed before the earnings call or after, whatever it might be, whatever the context is, this will allow you to do that. So let's type in a more interesting company here. Burberry, kind of luxury retailer in the UK. They've been having a bit of trouble recently where their revenue estimates have just been getting hammered because they keep issuing profit warnings, 2 in the last 6 months. So we can see here at the start of the year, or about 6 months ago, they were projected to do about 3.2 billion pounds in sales. And today that's been shed by about 220 million in 2 kind of big instances. One here, first profit warning, and then one more recently during the second profit warning. And at any time, if you want to open this up into a chart and play with it yourself, you can click this little button here, and that will just bring you into the chart tool, and you can kind of view that on a longer time period, whatever you might want to do with that. And then alternatively, if you ever want to keep this view, but switch the company, over here on the left-hand side in the search bar, if you type something like NVIDIA, you'll probably have the polar opposite where, revisions have been pretty aggressive on the way up. So you can see 1, 2, 3, 4 instances where 2024 expected revenues have just been, jumping up by eyeballing it, I don't know, $15, $20 billion. And down here, again, you just have that itemized version as well. So sales, EPS, EBIT, you can see the ranges and you can see the year-over-year change too. So one thing I want to cover as well, there's a few more things, but I alluded to it at the start, is revisions. So if you're in the midst of an earnings season, quite often companies are going to be issuing guidance that might change, reaffirm, downgrade. And what happens after that usually is the analysts then change their estimates as well. So if you want to capture, companies that have been having their earnings or sales, whatever it might be, revised upwards or downwards, there's a few ways you can do that in Koyfin. The first way is the screener. I typically do it using the screener. It might not be the most intuitive way. You can also set this up in watch lists and market scatters as well, but I'll show you a few different ways. So let's go ahead and create a brand new screen and we'll get started from scratch. First thing you have to do whenever you're creating a screen is just kind of identify the universe of stocks that you want to look at. So for the purposes of this demonstration, we'll just stick to US and Canada, but you could filter that down on any continent or country if you use this additional criteria. ETF constituents, sectors, trading countries, you have a whole bunch of choices there. The most important thing, we'll get rid of that market cap criteria here. When you've identified your universe, you're going to then open up the filter criteria, and we have this analyst estimates here. So if you just open that, we have a bunch of data here. So ratings, price targets, forward estimates, which is the notional estimate, and then forward growth, which is the percentage version of that estimate. The thing we're interested in right now is estimate revisions. So we give you the revision and a time period at which that has changed, and that will make sense in just a minute. So here we have revenue consensus average revision. So the average revision for revenue, we'll click open that. I have a bunch of different options. And in plain English, what this means, FY1E, it's the first unreported fiscal year. So the first fiscal year that has yet to be reported. So I think for many companies right now, that will be 2023, because most are in the Q3 period, and now we're in the Q4 period. So the first unreported fiscal year right now for most companies is 2023, but this changes as time goes on, but the nomenclature remains the same. So in 6 months' time, FY1E will mean 2024. And the second part of this, the 1 week and the 1 month, that indicates when this revision has taken place. So if you're right in the heart of earnings season and you want to see all the companies that reported last week, you might pick 1 week. If you picked 1 month, that would be within the 1 month range. Because we're in the early kind of part of earnings season, 3 months is maybe a more appropriate one. You'll get more hits there. But if you do scroll down, you have a bunch of different time periods. You can look out, 2, 3, 4 years into the future. If you scroll all the way down, you'll also be able to filter this down on quarters as well. So you can do this on a quarterly basis next quarter, the 6th quarter from now. But for now, I'm just going to pick the second unreported fiscal year, and I want to know when that's been changed over the last 3 months. And we'll leave that there for now. And I'm going to do the same thing with EBIT. Let's go with EBIT, consensus average revision. I'm looking at the second unreported fiscal year that's been changed within the last 3 months. So right now, it's probably only going to pull up like maybe banks or companies that reported late last quarter. But as you get deeper into earnings season, you shorten that time period, you're going to get a lot more hits here. So we have a range. And all I'm interested in is companies that have had their 2024 fiscal year revenues and EBIT revised upwards by 10% in the last 3 months. You can see from 13,000 hits, we have 43 matches. So the number of matches will increase as earnings season goes along, and it captures more people in that kind of bracket. But here we have in our watch list all the companies, and we can sort by the revision. So we can see down here any big companies that I would know. Not many. There's NASDAQ Inc. revised upwards, revenues by 17%. EBIT has been revised upwards by 19%. And at this point, you can go back into your filter criteria, add additional things. Similar to a watch list, you can come into the columns and kind of build a view. You can also import a view from a watch list that you already have, just for demonstration's sake. Let's pick a watch list, that S&P one I was looking at, and let's pick a multiples overview. So this is just going to pull up all the multiples for these securities. Not really appropriate for this webinar, but like if you wanted that view, you could pull it up. So that's how you would do that. The other way that you could search for earnings revisions is a pretty simple one, but it could give you kind of more a visualization as opposed to kind of like an itemized, going through a watch list or a screener output is the market scatter. So if I just want to quickly visually represent the relationship between two variables, that is what market scatter is for. And if I'm interested in the same kind of thing that I was looking for in the screener, we can come into here and add some axes. So let's go to analyst estimates. And we will go to estimates revisions. We'll go to revenue average revision, and we'll pick the same thing that we picked last time just for consistency. The second reported fiscal year that's changed over the last 3 months. And let's say we want total return over a 3-month period as well. So we can just pick those two things, and when this data loads in, we'll be able to express that. Sometimes it takes a while when you've got a big data set. So I'm currently filtered on S&P 500, but similarly, you could pick an ETF or a watch list. So here's that relationship. You can see over here on the left-hand side, up the y-axis, these are positive revenue revisions for the second fiscal year of the last 3 months. So this side of things, they've been revised upwards, but the kind of share price momentum total return has been negative. In this little box here, they've also been revised upwards, but the momentum of the stock has been positive over the same period. And down here, you have negative revisions, and then you also have some stocks going up, some stocks going down. And you can kind of play around with that. And then over here on the right-hand side, you have all that data available for you to play around with, download, sort, do whatever you want with. And the last thing I will touch on before we kind of jump into some Q&A is just the watch list section again, because I really do think watch lists are really great for earnings season. So I'll open up the view that I made, which was revisions. Just to kind of give you an insight as to like the level of customizability you can do here. So this is just S&P companies. It's pretty basic data here. Next earnings date, that little custom label that I created. And here we have, it's mostly revenues, but revenue, first time reported fiscal year of revenue. This is the estimate. This is the year-over-year growth rate of that estimate. This is the average revision. The revisions over the last 6 months, and then this is like the same thing, but 2 years ahead. But if I come into the column picker here and go to analyst estimates, you can really do a lot. You can really do a lot here. So you can look at estimates revisions, and you don't have to just focus on revenue. You could have like revenue, EPS, EBIT, gross margin, EBITDA, like anything you can think of that has a revision attached to it. You can put that in here. You can break out revenue high, medium, median, low, average, and you can just really focus on one metric there as well. And you can put in notional and percentage and all that kind of stuff as well. So this is pretty basic, but you can really customize a view and create a bunch of different views here related to a basket of companies you're looking at. So it's kind of a quick whistle-stop tour of all the hotspots. There's probably some other ones in there that you can really utilize as well, but just being conscious of people's time. The custom dashboards is another great place. You could, if you have things set up, you could track earnings pretty well in there as well. But right now, I'm going to open the Q&A box and just see if we have any Q&A questions. So one question from Sambit, he says, are you planning on adding a way to import portfolios via a service like Plaid, or it might be pronounced Plaid, so we can track our positions and actual holdings? I could talk about this topic for hours. It's one that really fascinates me. I've been kind of connected to it for a while, but the short answer is in the immediate term, we're not planning to integrate with Plaid or kind of facilitate that in Koyfin. More broadly, we have been looking at broker integration, but in a slightly different way, direct broker integration. Plaid is a kind of it's a tough one because the ease that Plaid offers, it's like automated and people love that, but the connectivity and the quality of the data, it really varies because each broker has its own way of connecting to Plaid and various ways of calculating performance, and the frequency with which they send you the data every day is different. Sometimes the API just breaks and they're not incentivized to fix, like there's a whole rabbit hole of conversation there. But the more positive thing I think is portfolios, kind of like personal portfolios. We do have model portfolios, but a lot of people want a way to kind of aggregate their own personal portfolio on Koyfin, whether you're an individual or a professional, whatever the use case is. That is something that we're actively working on right now. And hopefully, over the next couple of months, we have something big to say there. I can't say too much more, but it is something we're thinking of right now and working on something. It won't involve Plaid, but I think you'll be pretty pleasantly surprised at what we put out. So I hope that answers your question. There we go. Any other questions coming in for Q&A? We can happily answer those for you now, whether it's a demonstration or you just want me to answer any questions that are on your mind. Doesn't necessarily have to be related to earnings and how to use Koyfin there, but okay, we have a few questions coming in. Bill says, hi, Rob, can I see what percent of stocks are trading above their 52-week high? Yeah, I can show you how to do that. Sorry, Rob won't be showing you. And Mike, I'll show you that in just a sec. Michael says, estimates, can we see the number of estimates? And is there any qualitative notion of those estimates? Some are better than others. So there's a few ways to answer this question, I guess. But in short, you can see the number of estimates. So if I go back down to analyst estimates here, I go to actuals and consensus, and I'll pull this up for NVIDIA. Thank you very much for your talk, says Douglas. Thank you for joining. So if you want to see the number of estimates, there's a few ways that you can do that. If I go to actuals and consensus, this is the quickest way, and you go to additional estimate data, and you go show. It's going to open up the number of analyst estimates. So we're looking at 2026 there. There's probably not a lot. If we go more near term, we can see here for sales in 12 months time, we have 32, then 29 and 14. And, gradually the decline as the years go out because people are just thinking near term. But you'll be able to see that data here in actuals consensus if you scroll down and have the setting on. So. And then the other one was any qualitative notion of those estimates. Some are better than others. The short answer is no, we don't have a qualitative. We don't break it out by broker. That's something we'd love to do in the future. And a lot of people ask us about, we would be able to show which broker is issuing which statement. But for now, we don't have that. In the future, we'd love to. I'll answer Bill's question. We do actually have a video specifically on this topic on YouTube, how to find 52-week highs and lows. If Rob can find that somehow, I think he's typing it. Maybe he's going to link it, hopefully, and send it to you. But I'll quickly show you how. The video shows you like 3 different ways to do it. I'll just show you a very quick and simple way to do it. We'll go back to market scatter. And we have the S&P here. All I'm going to do is look for above 52-week low on the x-axis or the y-axis, doesn't really matter. And then we're going to look at below 52-week high. And we can visually see that in the market scatter. We also have it over here on the right-hand side, all the data, which you can download. Koyfin is not Excel, so you can't like highlight stuff and then, sum them up. But if you downloaded this, you could very quickly do that and just count how many stocks are, within X% of the 52-week high. You can also do this in the screener as well. But in the interest of time, I'll kind of push you towards watching that YouTube video. It's very short. It's just 5 minutes. I'll send that to you. But that's how you quickly find it in market scatter.
Hey, Connor, just to add to that, Bill, I think if you're asking kind of above 52-week high, then I think you're asking, can you track the stocks that are making a new 52-week high? And my guess is you probably want to track that over time, like a historical data series. And that's more of a breadth indicator that we don't have today. That's a kind of a breadth index that I know is some other platforms. We don't have that today. That's something that's on our roadmap. Connor showed you how to look up on a bottom-up basis, how to find individual stocks that are trading near their 52-week high or trading near their 52-week low. But we don't have an indicator that says kind of like this is the number of stocks that hit a 52-week high. And we don't have that indicator historically either right now. Thanks.
Awesome. Yeah. Apologies if I misread that one. Cool. So got loads of questions here. I'll try 5 through them. Bob asks, is it possible to load an index like the Russell 2000 into a watch list and group by sector, then sort by one-day change to see today's leaders and losers by sector for that benchmark? The answer is yes. There's another way you can do that, and that is market movers. I'll show you how to do it anyway. But market movers, it does one thing, and it does one thing really well. So if I go to Russell 2000 here, it's going to load in all those stocks, and it's going to show me, on a 1 day basis, how many are up and how many are down. So the leaders, and you can sort this as well. So you can see that whatever this company is, Too Simple Holdings is up 30%. It's the leader. You can scroll down that. You can also group this by sector as well, which is what you're asking. So you can filter through this and just focus on consumer discretionary or energy. You have to untick and tick them. So that's how you do that very quickly. You can do this in a watch list. So if I just type in SPY, for example, go to snapshots, and then go to holdings, I can just save this as a watch list. So S&P 500, create as new. We'll go over to that watch list. So this is my watch list, S&P. I can now group this by sector, and we have the 1 day change here, and I can sort by that. So I can quickly just see, here's industrials, here's the gainers, or the ones that are up the most, here's the ones that are down the most in there, and I can, play around with and do that in all these different sectors here. But it's probably more intuitive and easy to just do that in market movers, but you can do it both ways. Kevin says, if you've already answered my question, is there a reason we can't copy or search from a PDF transcript? So I'm not sure if you're alluding to PDFs generally or inside of Koyfin. You said that you did arrive late. I did go over transcripts a little bit, particularly with advanced transcripts. But if you're in a transcript here, like Apple, for example, you can copy the text. So I have nowhere to paste this, but I'll paste it up here. There you go. You can copy and paste this text. You can download it as a PDF. If you're asking me questions about PDFs more generally, like why can't you copy off PDFs? I don't have the answers to that. Unfortunately, I'm not super savvy on that, but you can copy and paste from within Koyfin and save things as PDF. I think if you press Control F in a PDF, you can actually search a PDF as well. But
the way to
Koyfin,
the way, yeah. So kind of just show that highlight terms, and then
yeah, sure.
we don't.
So, yeah, so highlight terms, the way you search inside of Koyfin, you click this button here, you search for a term, you press enter, and you can, search through that. I think the actual question was asking about PDFs more generally, but yeah, so you can see here that we can, yeah.
And if you hit the print button as well, and then you could save as a PDF. So you could save this as a PDF. If you want a PDF, you just can't. We don't get the data as a PDF. That's why we don't present them, but you could save as a PDF when you hit print.
Cool. Tyler says, do you think any of these tools will be used in client meetings for financial advisors, ideally to replace Morningstar? Brackets, we don't like Morningstar UI. Koyfin is far better. I think Rob would be better answer to this one. He's more kind of deeper in the weeds with the financial advisor user group. But Rob, you want to answer that one?
Yeah, Tyler, would love to know a little bit more about your question. So you're asking, do you think any of these tools will be used in client meetings? A lot of advisors use these tools in client meetings. So our platform, I think, just has a much more modern user interface. And with kind of older products like Morningstar and FactSet, they have a really clunky user interface. They have some workflows where you can print a report or print a PDF, which you can then send to the end client. And with us, a lot of advisors will just kind of do a screen share on Zoom or kind of flip their monitor around and do all that analytics right on the platform, because it's really nice to kind of have it interactive and to show them the actual product. So to answer your question, ideally, we will replace Morningstar one day.
Awesome. Good, nice, confident answer there. Samba asks, is it possible in the future to search keywords across a group of companies? For example, can I search for AI for a group of healthcare companies? Yes, you can do that today in Koyfin. If I go to advanced search and then transcript search, let's say we want to narrow this down to S&P companies and we want healthcare companies. I can do that by going on the security list and picking the S&P index. I can go to healthcare here and I can type in exact word or phrase, AI, and apply those terms. And now we just have a running list of every time a healthcare company in the S&P 500 has mentioned the word AI. And we can scroll down this list. Oh, maybe it's because I put a space bar after it. There you go. There we go. So we can see AI. We can go down United Health, all the instances of AI in there. So you can do that today, to answer your question.
And Connor, maybe you could just show how to screen for searching in the description for AI as well.
Yeah, sure. So my screens, what Rob's saying is you can specifically search for various descriptions that relate to the company's description in the screener. So if I go to screens, start one from scratch, in this universe criteria, when you're looking at companies, maybe you want healthcare companies that have the word or part of their business is relating to AI in some way. We go to description here, and there's a little bit of messaging in here as well. We actually also have a help page article specifically on this topic of search. But if I type in commas, AI, commas, that's going to tell Koyfin I want that exact phrase. And I'm thinking of a sector that we could look at here. Let's just go global, and let's go get rid of that market cap. Doesn't seem to like that.
Can you try artificial intelligence? And we are actually kind of, I think we did make an upgrade or change the way that search works. So yeah, well, maybe.
Oh, there we go. Okay, so if I type in artificial intelligence, we're going to get some matches there. And then you can add all your other filter criteria in there as well. You could add sectors if you just want healthcare companies, for example. You can run through your screen using that process as well. So more questions in here. Let's see. Daniel says, "Hi guys, not quite related to earnings calendar, but I've been spending a lot of time looking at profitability metrics on FA and rank, specifically return on equity and assets, etc. Can you explain how these are computed when observed quarterly as opposed to annually LTM? Are the numerators simply multiplied by 4?"
Daniel, if you the answer is if you email our help desk, help@koyfin.com, with a company, we will provide the calculation for you. But typically, we'll use the quarterly number for the quarterly for the whenever the income statement is used or cash flow statement number. If it's the balance sheet number, we'll use the latest number, no matter if it's annual or quarterly. We don't multiply by 4. We either take the annual number, the quarterly number, or the LTM number. And Connor's highlighting the data dictionary here as well. But if you email our help desk and say, hey, I'm looking for the exact definition or calculation for Apple's return on equity or ROA on a quarterly basis, we can just send you that calculation as well.
Yeah, just as a follow-up, if you're ever unsure about a data point in Koyfin, just Google Koyfin data dictionary or look on the help desk. We have a lot of useful stuff in here. If it's not covered there, the help desk is great. They'll be able to give you a really detailed explanation, possibly with examples as well. Jim says, in your charts, is there a way to change the date range such that the end date is always today's date versus a static date? I have to manually update the end date each trading day. Thank you. So if I go to the historical graph here, so you're asking specifically today's date, always today's date versus a static date. I have to manually update at the end of each day.
So sorry, I just I think I just answered Jim on an email, but basically, basically the way it works is if you input a manual date into the chart. So right now, if I have like, let's say till January 11th or end date January 11th, the way that our charts work, if you save this to a template, like right now, Connor has a template saved called price. If you save it, then that data is automatically going to be selected every single time you pull it up. So May 16th, 2023 to Jan 11th, 2024. If you hit one of the presets like 1 year, then that's going to be updated every day. So every day you log in, 1 year is always going to be 1 year on a dynamic basis. If you explicitly put a date, then it's going to be an explicit date. But the key there is it saves to the template. So I think Jim had autosave on for his template. Can you just show where autosave is? Connor, yep, exactly. So if your autosave is on and you put an explicit date in your template, that's going to save it automatically to your template. So you just have to be aware of whether autosave is on or not and which kind of date range you're picking.
Awesome. Greg says, oh, we've already answered. Oh no, it's another one. Not really related to earnings, but GICS sub-industry is a really important info point when comparing data from companies in a watch list or indeed creating a watch list. Do you intend on adding GICS sub-industry in Koyfin? But we get this question a lot, actually. I don't know if Rob, if you know if that's on the immediate roadmap, but yeah, I'll let you speak to that one.
This is just not something that is easy or cost efficient for us to source today. So we'll look to get that at some point, but it's not a, I wouldn't say to expect it in the near term.
Cool. Rob is typing an answer to that one. Michael says, is FFO and AFFO data available? One of them is, I believe that's right data, REIT, however you want to pronounce it. So if I go to realty income here, type in AFFO, or is it FFO? Yeah, so we do have FFO data, but AFFO data. I'm not super knowledgeable on REITs, but I believe AFFO is a derivative of FFO, or there's some other calculation there. We don't have AFFO. That's the short answer. I don't know if we have any immediate plans to add it, but we do look at the feedback page in Koyfin. So if you click feedback, a lot of people suggest feature requests. And when there's feature requests in there that have a lot of upvotes, like return on invested capital, which should hopefully be in Koyfin in the next few weeks, that was a really commonly requested one. So we're in the process of adding that right now. AFFO might be in there as well. We just kind of look at this to gauge, what we should be doing, but we don't have it today. We'd like to have it tomorrow, but it probably won't be in there tomorrow.
Just to kind of show you the we don't have the historical series, but we do have it in the watch list. So if you open up a watch list and just show that, sorry, I missed it.
Yeah, one second. There we go.
And just do a new watch list just to show everyone what that looks like. And yeah, we'll call it REITs or new or whatever, and just put in O, or BXP is another one that we could use as an example, just to have two. And then under columns, we'll do FFO. Yep. So FFO is there. AFFO is adjusted FFO. So if you do the average, so this is the consensus average, but then you also have the reported as well on top. So adjusted FFO is the reported. If you click on that, and then so you have all the adjusted numbers here and all the historical numbers here. And if you go back, you have it per share as well. And then you have the forward consensus and the FFO. So the answer is we're incorporating it into the watch list first, and then we'll have it in the graphs as well. And then at some point, we'd love to have priced FFO and all the valuation measures for FFO as well.
Cool. Thanks, Rob. Kevin's following up with his PDF question. I think maybe we misunderstood the first one. He's saying explicitly when you export to PDF using Koyfin, Koyfin has disabled the ability to copy and search the PDF. Normally within PDFs, you can search and copy. Try it. You'll see that Koyfin PDFs are disabled. I'm wondering why. I don't personally know. I don't know if you have any context on that, Rob.
I didn't know that. We'll take a look and try and get back to you with an answer.
Cool. Thank you, Daniel. Best way to track pre and after market on Koyfin, also futures. Cool. So there's a few ways to do that. Number one, market movers. If you're looking at the S&P, for example, if it's the morning time, we're currently mid-session, but you can type pre-market, market up here, post-market. You'll see the one-day change there. So you can quickly do that for a watch list as well, or ETF holdings. You can do that in the watch list as well. We do have columns for that. So we have post-market price, the change, the notional, the volume, and then we have pre-market price, the change, the notional, and the volume as well. So you can put this and turn it into a watch list and build a view for that. George says, is there a way to filter, sorry, these questions are jumping around, upcoming investor days in a similar way to research future earning days? So the short answer is no. Earnings calendar is great for earnings that are coming up, but investor days, we don't have a calendar for investor days or kind of non-earnings related events. That's something that would be really great to have inside of Koyfin, or even just kind of incorporate into the earnings calendar in some way, but we don't have that today. But you will see investor days transcripts coming through the pipe and press releases related to those, but we won't have a calendar associated with it today. But that's not to say we won't someday. Kevin, we answered that one. Hopefully I got it to work by hitting it. Oh, Kenneth, following up with Kevin. Nice to see the community aspect there. He's saying he got it to work by hitting the print button on my Mac. I'm going to go ahead and test that and just see if it works. Because I don't remember ever having that problem. Here's reality income. Let's print it. Let's save it as transcript. Just open downloads and let's open it up. Yeah, so in mine, I don't know what to search for. Given, yeah, I can search my PDFs. I don't know if that's just like a computer issue or something with Kevin. I don't know, but if you reach out to help@koyfin.com, we can help you out with that one. But Boris lastly says, "Hi, great job. Do you have a DACF metric?" That's not one I know off the top of my head, but let me have a look. Do you know what that is, Rob? DACF?
I know because I'm Googling it right now, and it's the debt adjusted cash flow. So I guess it's cash flow plus interest, and I don't think we have that, but maybe you can show users how to create a custom metric in a watch list to show that.
Sure. Let me just get the formula. So you said it's debt adjusted cash flow.
It looks like it's debt plus interest.
Okay, debt plus interest.
Sorry, it's operating cash flow plus the interest expense.
Okay. Cool. Well, assuming that's what that is, we can show we might not have it in Koyfin, but at any point, if Koyfin does not have a data series that's native to the platform, you can create one, so long as we have the variables inside of that formula, which it looks like we do. So in a watch list, I'm going to go columns, open up the column picker, and I'm going to go to custom columns and formulas, and we're going to create one. So you can create labels and dates and text boxes in here, but we want a formula. So let's go ahead and call this, I've already forgotten what it's called, DACF. And we want to add our data series now. So if we're looking for operating cash flow, operations, cash from operations, we'll just say on a trailing 12-month basis, and then we'll look for interest expense. And US GAAP adjusted. Which one do you want to use here? Interest expense on a trailing 12-month basis. And we're just adding them together. We take A plus B, which is cash from operations, add interest expense. And I don't know if this is going to just be a number or a ratio. Is it a ratio or just a number, just currency?
It's just going to be a notional number.
Cool. Yeah. So even if that's not how you calculate properly, if I've just butchered that, it just kind of shows you that if you do have the formula, you can make it inside of Koyfin. So this could be like your DACF there, which is adding operating cash flow and interest expense. So you have that for both these securities here. Right now, just disclosure, custom formulas, you'll be able to show those on a trailing, quarterly, annual basis inside of a watch list. You can't then take them and chart them on a time series basis. A lot of people ask us about that, and it's something we're looking at, hopefully, figuring out at some point this year so we can add it to the platform, because that would be a big value add. So going back to the Q&A, it looks like we don't have any other open questions. We are just about on time as well. So unless anyone sneaks one last one in, I'm happy to let everyone get on with their afternoon. Appreciate you taking the time out of your day to join this. We like having these every month, and we change the topic. So hopefully we'll see you for next month's. Appreciate you all coming along. And if at any point you want to reach out to us, Rob's email is rob@koyfin.com. Mine is connor.mcneil@koyfin.com. And the help desk is help@koyfin.com. So we're always going to be there to give you a hand if you have any other questions. So thanks, everyone. See you next time.
Thanks. Bye-bye.